With Godzilla, Eiji Tsuburaya, a special effects director, and Ishiro Honda, a filmmaker, introduced the world of kaiju monsters to the mainstream. Ever since then, we've had Mothra, Gamera, monsters in Pacific Rim, Rodan, and more. In 1963, director Ishiro Honda and writer Shinichi Hoshi, Masami Fukushima, and Takeshi Kimura combined elements of Lovecraftian horrors like the fear of the unknown and encountering something beyond known human knowledge to create a scary kaiju for the movie Matango. What is it about? What inspired it? Let's dive right in and find out. But before we begin, make sure to tap the subscribe button and ring the bell to never miss an update from us.
Okay, I'll get it.
A leisurely trip takes a dark turn. Matango begins with Kinji Murai, a professor of psychology confined in a Tokyo psychiatric hospital. Murai begins narrating how he ended up in the quarantined ward of the hospital. It all started with a leisurely trip he took with his friends on a yacht. The group included Murai, Akiko Soma, his girlfriend, and a student, Masafumi Kasai, the owner of the yacht and a rich businessman, Etsuro Yoshida, a famous writer, Mami Sekiguchi, a celebrity singer, Naoyuki Sakuda, the skipper, and his assistant, Senzo Koyama. The yacht ride begins with Mami throwing Yoshida's manuscript in the ocean, asking him to stop working and begin enjoying. She begins singing and everyone around her is left mesmerized. Meanwhile, Akiko tries to avoid the group as she has very conservative values, something the group lacks. While Murai tries to console her and asks her to get along with them for his sake, the yacht runs into a sudden storm. Everyone begins to freak out, but Kasai calms them down, telling them that he had paid a huge sum for the yacht and that should speak to its quality. Though they survive the storm, the yacht suffers huge damage and begins to drift southward. They listen eagerly to the news on the radio and are hopeful after hearing that their absence has been noted and a rescue ship is soon being sent their way. Soon, they arrive at an island, which has ponds full of fresh water and mushrooms growing everywhere. Near the island shore, they find a wrecked ship with rotten sails. They get on board to explore, hoping to see if any survivors are still on board. Though they don't find anyone, they collect the canned food on board and see that the ship had various biological samples and was likely studying nuclear mutation. Their suspicions are confirmed when they see that the ship had collected an unusually giant mushroom native to the island, named Matango. They also observe that the inside of the ship is covered in a weird mold. Murai finds the captain's logbook in order to shed more light on the disappearance of the ship's crew. The logbook details that the ship was responsible for conducting nuclear tests around the island, which caused mutation in the native flora and fauna. He also reads that the mushrooms damaged nerve tissue and caused hallucinations in whoever ate them, and warns his friends not to. Everyone works diligently on restoring the yacht and collecting food. As the days pass, their food supply starts to run low, and Kasai shuts himself up in the captain's quarters alone. Though Murai asks for his help with scavenging for food, he continues to polish his gun and ignores Murai. One night, Kasai is attacked by a huge bipedal creature that has brownish-green skin and has grotesque growths on his head. When everyone comes out of their beds to see what the noise is about, the creature shuffles away. Yoshida, desperate and hungry, decides to eat mushrooms, hoping that they would ease his pain. Drunk and under the influence of mushrooms, he begins to kiss Mami. Koyama, who lusted over Mami, attacks him, but Yoshida pulls a gun on him. Yoshida tells everyone that he wants to murder everyone on board and have his way with Mami and Akiko. But the others pounce on him and lock him up in the captain's quarters. Out of his solitude, Kasai tries to get Naoyuki in on his plan to escape with the fixed ship and the remaining food. Though Naoyuki says no at the beginning, he later comes around to the idea and after tying up Kasai, escapes with the food. Mami, knowing about Yoshida's obsession with her, frees him and colluding with him, tries to take over the ship. Yoshida asks Mami to hold on to Akiko while he kills everyone else. He shoots Senzo first, but before he can get to the others, Murai and Kasai steal his gun and throw him off the ship. Mami too is asked to get out for agreeing to his plan. The enchanting mushrooms. That night, Kasai wakes up to Mami's enticement. She seduces him and makes him eat the mushrooms. The mushrooms are so addictive that once anyone starts to eat them, they can't stop, and they slowly begin to turn into mushrooms themselves. As Kasai realizes this, he's already had the first bite, and he begins to hallucinate about dancers in Tokyo and kneels down. Meanwhile, Murai finds the fixed yacht near the shore. He swims toward it, hoping to find someone, but all he finds is a note left behind by Naoyuki. Naoyuki claims in the note that he'd left to find help, but since his energy and food resources had run out, all he could do is jump into the sea and embrace death. Disappointed, Murai returns to Akiko, who suggests eating the mushrooms to battle their hunger pains. Murai says no, still hopeful of staying human and returning home. That night, Akiko is kidnapped and Murai finds her amidst the mushroom men, eating the mushrooms. Days later, Murai is rescued. He tells them that he wanted to eat the mushrooms because he really loved Akiko and couldn't imagine a life without her. He reveals his face, which has started to mutate into a mushroom, implying that he too had the mushrooms, and tells them that he should have lived with his friends on the island instead of returning to Tokyo, where he has no reason to live anymore. The scientists and doctors talking to him tell him that he should be grateful for being rescued, but Murai replies that he would have been happier on the island. Inspirations and Lovecraft. Released in the US as Attack of the Mushroom People and in the UK as Fungus of Terror, Matango has a distinctive Lovecraftian vibe to it. There's no doubt about the huge amount of influence Lovecraft has on modern horror. Unspeakable metaphysical horror and the effects it has on the fragile human mind are features Matango shares with Lovecraftian works of horror. Matango is a unique blend of the features we mentioned before, body horror and kaijus, which is why we urge you to put this movie on as soon as possible. Matango's huge fan base also includes directors Guillermo del Toro and Steven Soderbergh, who wanted to remake the movie in English as it had scared him as a child. Though the filmmakers don't mention Lovecraft as inspiration, there are two stories that they were definitely influenced by. The first one is William Hope Hodgson's 1907 short titled The Voice in the Night, which was first published in the Blue Book magazine. The story begins on a dark and starless night when a small rowboat approaches a schooner, requesting food and asking them to put away their lanterns. After receiving the food, the passenger on the rowboat tells the people that he and his fiancée were abandoned on their ship by the crew who stole the lifeboats. With the help of a raft, they rowed to an island nearby, where they found another ship covered with fungus. Unable to clear it up, they rowed away, but soon began to observe that their skin was sprouting similar fungus. As the passenger rowed away, the people on the schooner observed a grotesque figure, hardly resembling a human on the boat. Writer Philip Fisher was inspired by the story to write Fungus Isle in 1928. Much like Hodgson's story, Fungus Isle begins with the survivors of a shipwreck, but instead of an inanimate fungus, they're forced to battle weed men. Matango combines the two villains to make the Mushroom Men. Marvelous verdict. Did you know that Matango almost got banned in Japan? People were of the opinion that the Mushroom Men too closely resembled the victims of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. What do you think of the movie? Let us know in the comments below. We'll be back soon with our awesome content to entertain you. But until then, hang tight and goodbye.